And how is that affecting my performance in a relationship or in a job or in my business? And what does that mean? And I don't, I have a textbook understanding. I have an understanding based on my own personal observations, but I still don't quite really understand, even though I have a very good understanding of who I am and what my neurodiversity is, but I still don't feel fully confident. So, I mean, how can someone develop the coping mechanisms and being able to communicate that effectively in a workplace situation or in a social environment if they don't have that understanding?
This is a very good question, Joseph. You see, where you were coming from, it sounds very static, because there is no finite point. So no human being, neurodivergent or neurotypical, will ever be the same and will always remain the same. So the thing is, we have to look into identifying what are the static factors that are related to my personality, what type of person I am, and what are the dynamic factors. And yes, you are right. In order to, for all of us to explain ourselves, how we want to be treated and know our needs and communicate our needs, we have to understand what our needs are. Yes, that is the first step. And that is through lived experience, to living with each other, or to work on it with either with professionals or with families. It requires a lot of a reflexive attitude, but even the reflexivity is not always a given, because there are certain parts or certain traits in the neurodiverse spectrum where the level of reflexivity is low. And I mean, how can I look in a mirror when the mirror is broken? I only see a reflection of a broken mirror. So that's why, again, we need each other to help understand.
So that, for me, sounds like quite a strong metaphor for what you do with Shirin, in that the woman looking in the mirror is seeing a broken version.
Yeah, they are. I think that, there is such an interesting conversation, this, and I'm overwhelmed just listening to it, because it's just so rich. I think what is coming up for me here, in the sense of women, certainly, is the fact of you know who you are, but from the first up, and I really want the thing to be said. Yes, we are all neurodivergent in some way, okay, and I love the idea that before the age of 7 we are there, but by then we're moving into more concretizing of our brain. So the thing that starts to make me think more about this is that when we're looking through perspectives, we're starting to create our maps. I think we are always becoming, and actually nothing is ever fixed. For me, nothing is fixed. It's just how slow the flow is going that will allow you to be more fluid or to be more in that static state. So how do we do that? And what is the learning or processing style that we have? And maybe that's where we've got to work with kids, because that's where we're going to make the biggest difference. But I wonder if we're categorizing people, and I know that we talk about neurodivergent being a subset, or Asperger's. We're looking at categories. So what would it be like if we lived in a world that didn't have categories? How would that be? I mean, I would imagine it'd be pretty interesting. But it may make us focus on looking at people very, very differently. I loved Andrew's definition of what neurodiversity for Asperger's is looking at the world from a place of how we shift things. But even the word condition means that there is a constraint. There's a constraint within. So how do we create something that has no constraint? Yeah, and how do we move that? So for women, certainly when they look at themselves, I call it imposter. I think from the moment we're born, we are in that dissonance where we have to meet our needs in the world and we have to survive. We have to orientate and navigate. I loved your Nuria, you want to find our constraints, find our
boundaries,
our constant. And so we are always going to reorientate to a constant. And can we reorientate to that constant that is fluid, so that we can actually keep shifting and changing and going to that course correct, but not have it fixed?
Exactly.
So yeah, so from an imposter situation is women are looking at themselves certainly through the filters all the time, and they're making it about them. They're making it about them, so they don't know who they are.